All right, gang, we are doing grapefruit today. So I was going to do orange today, but I'm waiting for a few fragrances before I do orange. But I've got to get the orange done next week because we are running out of days for the summer months. And for me, I consider June, July, and August real summer months. Into September, even though seasonally it's not autumn yet, I consider it off limits for summer fragrances. So today we're talking about grapefruit, but we also have Yuzu and Pomelo. And I've got just a little over 70 different fragrances here that I'm going to talk to you about, alphabetized, not by chronological order, just in alphabetized order. And we've got fragrances from niche designers, you name it, lots of different ones. Some that I've just recently picked up, so I don't know much about what I'm going to talk to you about. But, you know, grapefruit has been a favorite note of mine for a while now. I think the first time I really started embracing grapefruit in a fragrance, or a fragrance that was fully focused on grapefruit, has to be this fragrance right here from Fresh. It's Fresh Hesperides Grapefruit, that's what it's called. And I fell in love with that after wearing the cannabis. And then also they had a fragrance, it was like sugar, lemon sugar, I think, or sugar lemon. So those three fragrances I really enjoyed, but thankfully the cannabis is still around. And then of course the Hesperides Grapefruit is still around. And to me, I consider it one of my very first early grapefruit fragrances. But you know, I can't forget Jo Malone's Grapefruit as well. Both of these fragrances, Grapefruit from Jo Malone and also Hesperides Grapefruit, do seem lighter from when I was first wearing them. It was probably somewhere around the mid-2000s when I first started wearing those. But I think grapefruit has become very, very popular. I think we have to thank this fragrance right here, Tigar from the House of Bulgari, and a fragrance created by Jacques Cavalier, which I actually just did a video on. If you haven't caught that video, please go catch it. But I think thanks to that fragrance, which is super sexy, by the way, we have other inspired fragrances that we're going to talk about in here. So I'm not going to pause the video much, especially since I fit everything in the list here on the table. And so we're just going to go through the fragrances and, you know, just smell them on camera and let you know all about them. But before I do that, if you have a favorite grapefruit fragrance, let me know what it is. Add a comment below. And then as you're watching, you can pause and, you know, write a comment if you like a fragrance that I'm talking about or you don't like it. And if you are new to the channel, these are deep dive videos, so they're long form without much editing, not much effects or photos or anything. Just me giving you my thoughts on the fragrances. And today, as I said, we're focusing on grapefruit, but also combining Yuzu and Pomelo, which are somehow related fruits, citrus fruits. Of course, there's pink grapefruit in there as well, which some of these fragrances do feature. And yeah, so you can pause them. And also, I add these videos into playlists. So it's a long form playlist, really long videos. I don't think today's is going to be 3 hours long. There's the Fresh Fragrances video that I did that had all the different categories, which was just under 3 hours. If you like long form videos, these are the videos for you guys. So yeah, let me know your favorite fragrances that feature either grapefruit, Yuzu, or Pomelo. And let's get started with the first fragrance. This is in alphabetical order. It's Acqua di Parma's Yuzu. I should also clarify, I don't have every single fragrance on the market. So if it's missing one, it's not because I don't love it. It's just, well, it could be that I don't love it, but there are some fragrances here that I have that I don't really love too much, but I'm speaking about them. But so it could be that I don't love it or I just don't have it. So this Yuzu I picked up probably around 3-4 years ago. It's quite spicy. It's an eau de cologne. Obviously, these fragrances are eau de colognes, although they've been changing their concentrations. So this one, wow, it says eau de parfum. So as soon as I put my nose on it, it felt a little light, but I think concentration-wise, it's still pretty thick, but as a smell, it's a bit light, right? But it's Yuzu. It's a bit salty. It's a bit juicy. I feel like there's some aromatics in there as well, slightly leaning green. There's definitely a zestiness here, which I quite like. I almost feel like there's mint that I'm picking up here on the strip as well. And I feel like aromatics and herbs blend really nicely with citrus notes. And I feel like grapefruit is the zestiest of them all. If you've ever played around or, cut grapefruit and, dealt with the skin, there's a zing to it. And I kind of associate that zing with the ginger's zing. Ginger has a zing as well. And I feel like these two notes do combine really nicely with one another. So this is Yuzu from Acqua di Parma. Let me know if you're a fan of that. Add a comment below. We're starting off with not something super solid, but I got a deal on that tester, so that's why I have it. That next is a brand new one for me. It's called Green Forest by AMBRA. You guys familiar with this? This is the first of several fragrances that will remind us of Tigar. Tigar is a very popular, I guess Tigar has clicked with people. That's why they make all the inspired fragrances. And this to me does remind me of Tigar. It reminds me of Sospiro's Vibrato and things like that. But I wouldn't say this is a like straightforward clone of it, but it gives me the vibes of it. So it's quite juicy and zingy, and also very, very fresh with the citruses. There's that bitter zing that I like from the grapefruit, so it's there. But I feel like there's some deeper notes in here as well. It does say it's an extrait de parfum. You guys familiar with this brand? Let me know, add a comment below. I like this. I think it's perfect in the heat. But if you are, wearing things like Tigar and you feel like it doesn't last, you could go with something like that. Or if you have Tigar, get something like that. Layer the two together and see what happens, You could totally do that. There's only one other thing I should say about Alhambra's Green Forest. I think the name doesn't suit it, personally. But there's also something, there's a greenness about it. And I feel like we have that from the types of notes they use in there. But there's something candy sweet in there almost that I don't pick up in Tigar. Let me know if you guys had that experience with that fragrance. Next, we're going to the house of AESOP. It's TACIT. TACIT is probably one of the first fragrances from this house. It's a super citrus-focused fragrance. There's a bitterness here. Of course, we're getting that from the grapefruit note. And also spices. I feel like there's a lot of spices in here. It does act cold. There's a bit of a menthol vibe in this as well. It's created by Celine Burrell over at IFF. And I think she's been doing the last few fragrances for AESOP as well. I forgot the name of the perfumer that was the in-house. I think his name was Barnaby. Is it Barnaby Fillion? I think he was doing a lot of their fragrances. They've now switched to working with Celine Burrell. But I think this is a really solid freshie. I don't think it's anything groundbreaking. It just smells great. It's pleasant. It's invigorating. It's fresh. It's spicy. It's zingy for sure. And I feel like there's woods in there as well. Let me know your thoughts on TACIT. Are you a fan of the house of AESOP? Add a comment below. We're going to the house of Angelos Creations Olfactives next. This is Atelier Cologne. So this could have fit into a lot of the citrus videos, and it has a lot of different varieties of citruses. But for me, there's a lot of grapefruit in this. And when I wear this one, it adds very grapefruity, or something like grapefruit, maybe pomelo or yuzu. But I feel like it's grapefruit that's in here. But it's super zingy, quite spicy, and super, super fresh and juicy. And it has the indie artisanal touch to it. Now, it might remind you of things like 4711. It's kind of inspired with those kind of fragrances. But it's also super long lasting because it's highly concentrated. It is a freshie though. Don't think this is going to be like his other fragrances like Karikai, and all these other fragrances. But if you want something more artisanal, more indie, and you want a freshy citruses and a lot of grapefruit, try Atelier Cologne from Angelos Creations Olfactives. Let me know if you're familiar with this brand. add a comment below. I do have a video shot with him at Paris Perfume Week earlier this year. You can go catch that video. Next, going to the house of Atelier Cologne, and I made sure this was still selling. This is Pomelo Paradis. So I've actually put this collection away because it is, I don't know what's going on with the collection. I know they've redone all their bottles, so, but there's a lot of stock out there of this. It's at the discounter. So if you're a fan of this, I was a fan of this collection. If you're a fan of this collection, I think you can get yourself your bottles. Maybe they just have a lot of stock out there that they're trying to clear out and things like that. This one's so super juicy. It's also sweet, not very tart and tangy. But behind that sweetness, the juiciness, there is a bit of a zestiness in there as well. It's called Pomelo Paradis. Pomelo Paradise, right? It's so fun. Some of the fragrances from this house are so juicy and they smell so realistic. You almost want to drink it like you're drinking juice, you know, like in the morning when you wake up, you want some fruit juice or something, like a citrus orange juice or something. They smell that good. And this is so, so yummy. But I feel like if I ever drink grapefruit juice, which I prefer over orange juice, I like that bitterness. I like bitter tastes a lot. This, feel like it's sweetened up. Like, you know, sometimes it's too bitter. You have to add some kind of a sweetener in there or sugar or something. This does feel like it's been sweetened up, but still behind the scenes of that sweetness, there is this zestiness. There is a bitterness there, but it's not super like the peel of the grapefruit or pomelo we're talking about. And so this is Pomelo Paradis. It's still selling out there. Check it out. Maybe you might like that one. Again, I'm unfamiliar with what's going on with that house. There's an uncertainty about them, but as long as they're selling at the discounters, I'll recommend the fragrances. So next we're going to the house of, we've got 3 fragrances back to back with names starting with Atelier. So we had Atelier Cologne. Now we have Atelier d'Azur with Pomelo Paradis. No, I'm sorry. This is Pomelo Riviera. Atelier Cologne was Pomelo Paradis. So a lot of pomelo here. Pomelo, it's, there was I don't know, I think I mentioned this recently in a video. There used to be this Sauvignon Blanc that I used to get back in the mid-2000s. It was called Pomelo. And, you know, when you drink this Sauvignon Blanc, which I'm not a white wine drinker much, I'm more of a red wine drinker, but this had a great flavor and it was really good with like Thai or Vietnamese food. And you can kind of taste kind of the pomelo grapefruity nuances of the wine. So it was really great, refreshing, cool, crisp. So I always think of that when I think of pomelo. And this is Pomelo Riviera, which means it's inspired by the pomelo fruit. It's a kind of a grapefruit. And of course, there's a saltiness here because it is focused on the Riviera, which is the French Riviera we're talking about. So it's a bit beachy and a bit salty. And I feel like you can add, I always get a saltiness from the grapefruit, yuzu, and pomelo notes. So they brought out the saltiness with a bit more of like that kind of beachiness and the saltiness that they threw in here. But underlying, there's a slight creaminess to give you a slight, I don't know, coconutty or suntan lotiony effect in here. So it's really, really great. Totally different than the Atelier Cologne, but wonderful to wear. It's quite juicy, but you've got the beachiness there, the saltiness, and slight creaminess like coconut in there as well, which is totally different from the other one. Then we've got Atelier MATERI with Poivre Pomelo. I think these two should be reversed if we're doing the alphabetical order correctly. But Poivre Pomelo is pomelo, once again, with poivre, meaning pepper. So I think in this case, we're talking about black pepper. So it's a peppery take on the pomelo grapefruit note. It's quite fresh, by the way. But you definitely have quite a bit of pepper in this. So it comes off spicy. It's fresh and spicy. It's zingy. It's, yeah, the pepper totally comes off of the juiciness of the pomelo, but I wouldn't call this super bitter either, because as I was mentioning with grapefruit, pomelo, and yuzu, you do have that bitterness. I actually really, really love how great the skin or the peel of the grapefruit smells. Here, it's realistic, but it's a lot of pepper, and the pepper actually also gives me slight smokiness. It's almost like incense running throughout it. It's quite woody, and this is not the juicy variety of pomelo either. This is more dry, but you get the juiciness there, but I think the surrounding notes are kind of like drying it out. So it doesn't have an uber juicy experience, but still a really awesome scent. I feel like this is the citruses, or the pomelo in this case, working with all the other notes, most importantly the pepper, but there's a lot of woods and spices added to it as well. If you like your citruses not so juicy and you like it peppery, try POIVRE Pomelo from the house of Atelier MATERI. So this next one I just picked up at a discount clothing store. I found it for 14 bucks. I thought, might as well buy it. I haven't smelled it yet. I just opened it up and put it out of the box. It's AZZARO's Sport EDT. You guys familiar with this one? 14 bucks. Very cheap. And I didn't know it had grapefruit until I did my research, and sure enough, it has grapefruit. So this is the first time I'm smelling this. So a lot of the fragrances I've spoken about so far have that realistic smell of the fruits, most importantly the pomelo, the yuzu, and the grapefruit. Here, it's definitely the synthetic variety. This is not smelling like the realistic thing. Obviously, it's a cheapie, it's a designer house, mass market. I think this will satisfy some folks. It's very citrusy, but the synthetic variety, but also very aromatic. So there's a kind of a crispness about it, a sharpness about it. It's fresh though. I think it's pleasant, not a wow for me. It's nice to have here. I would wear it. If I didn't have my collection, I would wear it. But I think if I want something realistic, this is not what I would wear. I would wear all the fragrances that I spoke about, not this one. But if I want something, you know, fresh, but also pleasant, because I could see this being, the way it's made, it could be like a crowd pleaser, because I think projecting off of your skin, it would attract people and ask you what you're wearing and things like that. It has some kind of a DNA that I think is going to do that with. You know what I mean? I think there's like amber woods here. I'm smelling something very, very common. But once you strip away that, I think the citruses are pleasant. It's aromatics and spices as well with citruses. And it's acting very crisp, metallic, a bit sharp. But I think it's the fusion of these notes together that's creating that. Let me know if you're a fan of this. Was it worth $14? I think it was worth it. It's not something I would rush out to buy, but it was there on the clearance aisle and I picked it up. So next we're going to the house of BINET-PAPILLON. This is number 7. And this is actually called Rose IMPOLIE. And it's a rose fragrance, but it is combined with grapefruit. So the idea of rose and grapefruit, do you like that? I feel like it's also very resinous. And the grapefruit, for me, seems a bit hidden, not so prominent. But there is a kind of a freshness out there, an underlying kind of juicy citruses. But behind the scenes, what's lurking under there are, you know, like these kind of like more deeper notes. I feel like there's a lot of resins here. It's resinous, it's a bit smoky. Let me know if you're a fan of number 7, Rose IMPOLIE from the house of BINET-PAPILLON. I do have a video on that house. If you haven't caught it, please go catch it. They do make some great fragrances, by the way. All right, I had to pause the video there. There was a little interruption. So let's get moving on to the next fragrance. We just did BINET-PAPILLON. We're going to go into one of the best, I think, one of the best grapefruit fragrances. This is BOADICEA the Victorious's Energizer. In fact, I think I would say this is number 1, more than Tigar or Vibrato. This to me is so super realistic. The entire grapefruit has been bottled here. We're not talking about the juice only, we're talking about the skin, because there is that kind of oily, kind of whatever, like if you're handling the grapefruit and you're juicing it, your hands get kind of oily, you know, but also wet from the juice. That experience is here. So it's quite zesty, it's bitter, it's also green, but so super juicy, citrusy. I consider it probably the best. I mean, I'm smelling it right now. It smells like the real thing. Like I've just been juicing grapefruit for, I don't know what, making grapefruit juice. But wow, it is so realistic. It's basically, you know, taking a grapefruit, sticking a little funnel in there and putting an atomizer and spraying that, you know. That's what I get with that. Like, just imagine that smell is captured in a bottle. So awesome that way. So awesome. I mean, I love Tigar, don't get me wrong. But if you're looking for the real thing, this is it. This smells so close to the real thing. In fact, like I said, just imagine popping a little funnel or whatever, a sprayer on a grapefruit and juicing, you know, spraying the juice from the fruit itself. It's so great. The great thing about this is also it's got longevity. It's got some great longevity, which is even better. I'm not saying this is beast mode. It's a citrus in the end. You're dealing with citruses, which are some of the lightest types of you know, fragrances you can wear. But it has great legs for a citrus, and I absolutely love the way it smells. So that's Energizer from the house of BOADICEA the Victorious. Let me know if you're familiar with that. I've recommended quite a bit. I absolutely love that. I'm going to move that back there because those are kind of wobbly bottles. But we're going to go to the house of Bon Parfumeur next. We've got two back-to-back from the house. Less expensive house for sure. And the first one is the first fragrance I ever bought from this house. This is 003. Basically, it's grapefruit, violet leaves, and vetiver. What a great combo it is. So super fresh. So aromatic, woody, grassy, and also ozonic. This is an awesome scent, by the way. Really awesome. If you haven't tried this one, please do. You'll like it. I actually have a 50 ml of this. This is my 100 ml. But what's great about this is it's got a lot of the ozonic touches or qualities of the violet leaves. So you'll smell the violets, and that will remind you a little bit of the violets in Fahrenheit. But I'm not saying this smells just like that. It's only the violet leaves that are in there that this will smell like, because this is a lot of grapefruit, so it's super juicy. And then also very woody and grassy and earthy and aromatic with that vetiver. But super fresh. So good. Really great. If you haven't tried this, please do. If you like the idea of the ozonic fragrances, juicy citruses, and, you know, some grassy woods, I think this will satisfy. It's a great scent. It's very fresh and perfect for hot days. And then we've got a second fragrance from the house. It's 801. And this is, let's see. I'm sorry, 003 is Yuzu. This next one is Pamplemousse, which is grapefruit. So it's kind of sort of similar, you know. And the other thing I forgot to mention earlier is a lot of times you'll see these fruits combined with vetiver. For some strange reason, they work wonderfully together, and they're always a combo. I mean, you probably are familiar with vetiver pamplemousse. It's vetiver and grapefruit, basically. You'll see it a lot with vetiver. And I don't know, they complement one another so great, or there's chemistry between the two that kind of overlap. And I think because of that, they work well together, and they always use them together, and which is the case with number 3. It's Yuzu and vetiver. Here we don't have vetiver, but it's called Embrance, as you can see right there. So I believe we're talking about sea spray. Is that what it is? And then we've got cedar and pamplemousse, which is the grapefruit note. I'm not too familiar with this one, so let's smell it. It does probably lean marine. We've got the sea spray or the sea breeze in here. Let me know if you're familiar with this one. Yeah, it's quite marine, but tolerable. I don't think they've overdosed something cologne. It's more like seaweed or algae. and maybe a bit salty, but super fresh and woody. I mean, it's a woody marine fragrance with, you know, the overdose of the grapefruit. I prefer 003 over 801, but I can wear 801 as well. It doesn't get fishy on the strip, so most likely it won't get on the skin either. There's one fragrance I'm going to talk to you guys about. I love the idea of it. And it's focusing on citruses and most importantly, grapefruit or yuzu. But man, when I wear it, it smells like fish on me and I can't stand it. So I'll get to that in a little bit. So next we've got a fragrance from the house of Brioni. It's Eau de Parfum Éclat. This is a really great flanker in this series. It's a musky flanker with a lot of ambroxan, but there's also rose. There's the grapefruit or yuzu in here. We've also got patchouli, so it's super sexy, but very fresh and musky. The rose, I think I also feel like this is a bit chypre-like, especially the fact that there's the rose and the patchouli in here. But a lot of muskiness from the ambroxan, which is super sexy. I love this one. It's not... I mean, I like the entire series, I should say, because they've done a great job curating the kind of fragrances for men. And it's, you know, it's Brioni, so they make a wonderful... Why is my camera not focusing today? It's so strange. That is weird. Sometimes this camera... This is an iPhone 16 Pro Max. But sometimes it's stuck focusing, see? Hello? Okay. I guess it's going to be not focusing on the bottles. But going back to this Eau de Parfum Éclat from Brioni, it's a great summer fragrance. It's got the rose, but it's not super rosy. It's got a lot of ambroxan. You might have to be into ambroxan to enjoy that one. And then the patchouli and the grapefruit that's in there, which is what we're talking about here. It's a great combination, I think. Then we're going to, of course, the one that a lot of people know. It's Bulgari's Tigar. Are you familiar with this one? This one also has ambroxan. So it's a lot of ambroxan in here. And I find this to be, you know, super sexy. But I mean, it's realistic, but I would actually say Energizer is more realistic. It really smells like the fruit here. I mean, if I'm thinking about these two fragrances, I think the idea with Energizer from BOADICEA, the Victorious, I don't know. It's speculation. I don't know what they were thinking when they were creating that fragrance. But I think they were going after the realistic smell of the grapefruit. But with Tigar, they wanted to make something sexy with grapefruit. And they've totally accomplished it. That's why they're not copying Energizer, or they're not being inspired by Energizer. They're being inspired by Tigar, right? I love the smell, don't get me wrong. It's a really super sexy smell. I think Jacques Cavalier is a great perfumer. I think he's done a great job. I mean, this is also his, and it's combining yuzu. We'll get to that in a little bit. But I can see why Tigar is so copied over and over again. And it's definitely one of the best fragrances, for sure. Let me know if you're a fan. Add a comment below. Let's move on to the house of by Kilian. This is Moonlight in Heaven. So this has grapefruit. It also has vetiver, but I also think it has mango, some kind of a fruity note. Is it still on the market? I can't remember. I want to really love this fragrance. I always feel like it's a bit underwhelming. Do you guys get that with this one? I think there's also coconut in this, correct? If I remember correctly. It's not bad. It's this is I would call this a grab and go, kind of a dumb reach. It doesn't excite me too much. Yeah, it smells pleasant, but I'm not telling everyone to go wear Moonlight in Heaven from Kilian, because it's that kind of a fragrance. Let me know if you're a fan of it. I know people like it, and I'm surprised it's still selling, or maybe it's discontinued already, but I'm not 100% sure. But if you're a fan, let me know. Add a comment below. It's Moonlight in Heaven from the house of Kilian. That fragrance, you have to enjoy the subtleties, because it is a bit on the subtle side as well. But next, we've got a fragrance from the house of Caron. It's Yuzu. And just keep in mind, I don't have a cap for this. I also showed it recently in another video. It's a tester that I bought off of Fragrance Net. I wish I had a cap for it, but I don't, unfortunately. So this is a Yuzu, a long-standing fragrance. I believe it just came out in the 80s. Is it in the 80s or the 90s? So this is, it's Yuzu, so it's that kind of grapefruited, but I feel like it's gone through some reformulations. It seems a bit flat, not so vibrant as a smell. But behind there, you've got the idea of the Yuzu, you've got the idea of the bitterness, the zestiness. I think there's some aromatics and leafy notes in there as well. But I think it's gone through some challenges. I like it. This is also giving me the vibes of just a grab and go. You know, it's not going to be so super overwhelming with the smell and take over everywhere kind of a thing. It's nice. Let me know if you're a fan. I'm assuming when that first came out, it was much better as a smell. But this next one, from the house of Chanel, we only have one Chanel in this video. It's Paris Biarritz once again. I've spoke about this one several times already with these fresh deep dive videos. My favorite in this series, by the way, next to Edinburgh or Deauville. This one's super green and super juicy, zesty. I really, really love this. And you can actually spot the... I'm moving around things. You can actually spot the grapefruit a little bit in this. Not a little bit, a lot actually, come to think of it. To me, it does have a little bit of the traditional eau de cologne-like vibe, but really green and juicy, zesty, and very aromatic as well. That's a good one. Do you guys like this? Paris Biarritz. Let me know if you're a fan. Add a comment below. It's good. It's really good. It's very, very fresh. Okay, we're done with page 1. So now we're off to second page. We've got 3 pages. I think we've got around 72 bottles here is what I should say. So next we've got Commodities Nectar. You know, this one also has come up quite a bit. I think this was in the Neroli video. This is an all-around awesome citrus-focused fragrance, and we've got a lot of grapefruit in this. Definitely my favorite commodity. I love this. It's so good. To me, it smells like Jo Malone's. It smells like Jo Malone's Orange Blossom. Wow, it's so good. But it's pomelo, I think, is the fruit that they have in here. Not grapefruit or yuzu. And a lot of flowers. There's a lot of flowers and the juiciness of the citruses. It's so good. It's really, really one of the best. I think it's created by Matthew Nardin. Yep, his name is all over it right there. I got to meet him earlier this year at Aix-en-Provence, but he did a great job on that one. I wish it was not the archive fragrance. I don't know why they archived this. I'm complaining about it again. I complained about it once before. What's the reason behind? I mean, I see that people seem to like it. I get comments and I read the comments and the comments say Commodities Nectar, Commodities Nectar. Why do they vault these things? Archive it is the word they're using for this. I don't know. I don't get it. But if you guys have an idea why they would have done it with Commodities Nectar, do let me know. Add a comment below. But I think what I'm going to do at the end of the video is give you my top 10 of favorite grapefruit. I think grapefruit yuzu fragrances or pomelo fragrances. I think you guys have been wanting that with these videos. So I'm going to do it if I can remember to do it. But that would be one of the top 10 for sure. Absolutely love it. So let's move on to DS and Durga's Grapefruit Generation. This would be another one. I like the name Grapefruit Generation. Grapefruit is a great citrus. It's one that you can sit and eat, unlike lemons, which I absolutely appreciate in cooking and salads and things like that. Here, it's juicy, super juicy, and sweet and aromatic as well. I feel like there's some greenness running throughout it. And under there's some woods as well. But super juicy, but not so... well, I guess it's zesty, but it doesn't have that realistic smell of the grapefruit. but it doesn't mean it's bad. I like the way it smells. It doesn't smell synthetic, whereas the AZZARO Sport EDT smelled really synthetic. This doesn't, but it also smells like there's other citruses intermingling with this grapefruit or whatever grapefruit note they have in here. So it's not smelling like true grapefruit. And once again, I'll say Energizer is probably the best example of grapefruit in fragrances. It smells so realistic. Honestly, the best. This does not smell like that at all, but it does smell really, really great. I would probably put that in my top 10. We'll see at the end of the video. Let me know if you're a fan of Grapefruit Generation. Add a comment below. Then we're going to the house of LFSGQUESTIONS. It's Poème de Sagano. My favorite fragrance from this house, although it might have changed lately with the new AMBRA K. But this stuff is so amazing. This is a super green fragrance. It's green and also very grapefruit juicy. It's also very pulpy. And it also has a mint mojito cocktail-like vibe. So good. This is super awesome. But to me, I feel like, yeah, the grapefruit's there for sure. You can smell the rind, you can smell the juice, but you're getting this pulpy, it just smells like mojito. But there's a pulpiness. I think they're using bamboo in this fragrance, and it creates this kind of almost like aloe vera pulpiness, like, what's the word? Succulent, is that the word to use? There's there's a kind of a texture with it that you pick up that gives you that kind of succulent and kind of a pulpy kind of texture, but so good. Again, really, really great. It's going to be tough to put together a top 10 list, but we'll do it for you guys, just so you know what I am preferring. But if you haven't tried Poème de Sagano, man, oh, it's so good. Really, really great. Definitely my favorite from the house. So this next one's from the house of Eccentric Molecules. It's Eccentric 4. So this is Eccentric 4, meaning it's not Molecule 4. It's whatever is featured in Molecule 4, which is Javanol, which is a sandalwood-like note. And it's combined with other ingredients to create a finished fragrance. So Molecule 1 is ISOE Super, then they have Eccentric 1, which is a finished fragrance, including the Molecule 1. Here it's Molecule 4, which is Javanol. It's combined with other notes. Somebody recently commented, sent to me, I get no sandalwood whatsoever in this. All I get is rose. So, which is not this one, the OG Molecule 4. Yeah, I think Javanol has a bit of a rosiness, but to me, it smells like sandalwood, maybe with a light, very, very minute, minuscule amount of rosiness thrown in there. Oh, this is, but really juicy. So I'm picking up, this is Eccentric 4. So yeah, I am getting the idea of Molecule 4, which is that Javanol note, which is supposed to smell like sandalwood, but they've combined it with other notes, including a lot of citruses here. So it's fresh and woody, but also the Javanol gives you a creamy effect, like real sandalwood from Mysore, kind of a sandalwood. For me, the Javanol in the Molecule 4 reminds me a little bit of when I first gave my mom a bottle of Samsara from Guerlain. That had a lot of that kind of Mysore sandalwood smell, and it reminds me of that. And I can see the rosiness, but I wouldn't call it a rose fragrance. But I think noses are different, and that's why somebody was saying, oh, all I get is rose. And, noses are different. They pick up different things for sure. But to me, this is a lot of that Javanol in Molecule 4 with a lot of juiciness from citruses, plus other notes in there as well. So next we've got Fresh's Hesperides Grapefruit. And I was mentioning this earlier along with Joe Malone's Grapefruit were the first two grapefruit fragrances that I started wearing. Like middle of 2000s, 2004 on into the end of 2000s. But this to me has the zestiness, the bitterness of the peel, not so much the oil. Interesting also, around this time, maybe a little after, I was buying a lot of products from the Body Shop, and they had a grapefruit body wash. I don't know if you guys remember that. I don't know if they still have it. I don't even know what's going on with Body Shop because I don't see one here anymore. But this smell reminds me of that body wash from the Body Shop, which was a grapefruit body wash. But yeah, this is juicy, but also bitter and citrusy and clean, but realistic smell of grapefruit, which is what it's trying to do. So Hesperides grapefruit. I believe Hesperides means citruses in French. That brand is also owned by LVMH, by the way, if you guys weren't familiar with that. So I do have to pause the video here. I forgot one fragrance. Sometimes I'm going too fast, so I forgot this Guerlain fragrance. It's Aqua Allegoria Pampelune. But look at my bottle. There's some stuff floating inside, which is really weird. Like residue of some kind. And still not sure why my camera's not focusing. But either way, to me, this is the oiliest smelling grapefruit fragrance. Do you guys get the grapefruit oil? Well, from the peel is what I'm trying to say. If you have ever worked with grapefruit, you kind of know what I'm talking about. This is quite oily. It's also quite zesty and juicy. It hasn't turned, even though there's all that residue floating around in there, which is really weird. I don't understand why that happens sometimes. Not a lot, but once in a blue moon, it happens. But to me, it's quite realistic and also a bit synthetic. That oiliness gives me a realistic feeling or experience with grapefruit, but something under there also gives me a bit synthetic touch, which is fine. Synthetics are not bad. You need them in fragrances. Can't be all natural. Otherwise, your fragrances will not last. But I like this one. It's not one of my all-time favorites. My favorite is Mandarin Basilic, and I also like Neroli Vetiver. But this is Pampelune from the House of Guerlain. Let me know if you're familiar with that. All right, next going to the House of Hermès. It's Eau de Pamplemousse Rose, but also at the very, very bottom of my bottle. I thought I had the concentrated Pamplemousse Rose, but it turned out to be Eau de Pamplemousse Rose. The O is lighter than the concentrate, obviously. So this is combining the idea of grapefruit with rose. And it does work, really it does. These are the colognes of the collection of fragrances from Hermès. And they used to come in all different bottles. I like this. It's super fresh though. And the rose is not standing out. It's blending in where you're not getting a lot of rose, but it fits the pamplemousse or the grapefruit perfectly, giving you the idea of this very juicy floral experience without the rose stepping on your toes kind of a thing. You know, it's there, but it doesn't come out too much, which makes it very fresh. I think this is perfect for summertime wear. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Now, I wanted to include a lot more from here, but I just brought out one because this collection I consider one of the best men's fragrances ever made. This is Terre de Hermès. And I guess this would be my very first experience with vetiver and grapefruit. Although there's also orange in this, but to me, it smells more like grapefruit than orange. So I wanted to highlight it. And to this day, this is a new bottle. So recently manufactured. To this day, this fragrance still smells great. Probably it's not as beefy as it used to be. This is the Eau de Toilette. But what a magical fragrance that Jean-Claude Ellena has made. Totally historic. And I bought that fragrance for the first time is when it first came out in 2006. I read a small little article, this tiny little article written about how Jean-Claude Ellena created that fragrance, and I went to Nordstrom's and I bought a 50 ml bottle, and I took that with me on my first trip to France in 2006 is when I first went there, and that's when that fragrance was launched in 2006. And to me, It's almost 20 years old. It still smells great today. Great combination, great usage of vetiver-like minerally earthy woods with, you know, citruses like grapefruit and orange. Let me know if you consider this one of the best men's fragrances ever. Terre de Hermès from the house of Hermès. I don't care for the new one, by the way. I don't. It's the Eau de Parfum Intense. I don't care for it. I don't like it. Do you guys like it? That coffee bothers me with that mix. The Eau Givre is so good, but the coffee bothers me in that fragrance. Okay, next going to the house of Histoire de Parfum. This is not a blue bottle 1.6. I did a review on this one. This came out like 2020 during that crazy time we were all going through. It's a combination of flowers with grapefruit, or it could be yuzu. I think it's orange blossom in here too. I think you can kind of connect this with something like the experience of nectar, but I much prefer nectar, guys. Not to say this is bad. This is also, I believe it's got jasmine, so this is a bit indolic. There's a little bit of an indolic quality, but it comes off a bit dry in comparison to nectar. But still, it's a really, really awesome fragrance. I do prefer nectar more, but this does remind me of nectar quite a bit, in more of an indolic jasmine way. Let me know if you're familiar with that. I love that label or whatever it is that they have on there. But this is not a bottle 1.6. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Next, going to the House of Imaginary Authors, we've got Falling into the Sea. So this has the note of sand. It's got a fruitiness of lychee in here, and it's got lots of juicy grapefruit. So falling into the sea, the idea of the sea is there, but it's got this fruitiness. It's got a bit of saltiness or sandiness, I should say. And you've got so it's almost like the DNA of Imaginary Authors. I don't know if you guys are fans of this house. There is a certain DNA. It's got this like a woodiness. So that is under the fragrance. It's in the base. So it's heavy on the woods. But up top, it's got a lot of freshness. There's the zestiness of the grapefruit. And it blends nicely with the lychee fruit. And then you've got the sand in there that kind of grounds the fragrance into becoming something a bit beachy and I would also say a bit salty, because there's some sweetness there, but there's also some saltiness there to provide that kind of a sea experience. Let me know if you're a fan of Falling into the Sea from the House of Imaginary Authors. And then we're going to the house. So I feel like I did this list a bit wrong. I should have put Issey Miyake in the M's, but I've got it in the I's here. So this is L'Odyssée pour Homme. So the OG Yuzu fragrance from the house of Issey Miyake. It's 30 years old this year. Did it come out in 95? Or was it 96? I think it was 95. So it has gotten watered down, but I feel like it still smells pretty darn good. This to me used to be the zestiest fragrance I had ever put my nose on when I first started wearing it. I had a nice 100 ml bottle of it. It was also super potent. It came off so alive. It does feel like it's been neutered a bit right now, but the idea of it is still there. It takes me back, transports me to 30 years prior of when I first started wearing that fragrance. It was wearing that. It was La Male, Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, Dreamer from Versace, later Angel Men or Amen. But, you know, the idea of this fragrance is there. It's a lot of yuzu. It's a bit salty. There's vetiver in here as well, I think in the base woods. And along the way, there's some spices and aromatics. I think it's definitely one of the most iconic men's fragrances ever created. And it still smells pretty good today, but it has gotten the watered down treatment, sadly. Let me know if you're a fan of this. L'Odyssée pour Homme from the house of Issey Miyake. Does have that yuzu. And then we've got grapefruit in the follow-up Sport Edition, which I believe has just been discontinued, but there's still stock out there. and you can get it for pretty inexpensively here as well. Both of these fragrances are created by Jacques Cavalier. The Sport is, I think the Sport is an okay scent, but when I'm comparing the Sport to the l'Odyssée, the OG, I feel like the Sport has a bit more substance because it doesn't have that thinning down of what the OG has gone through. I think the Sport came out like 15 years ago, not 30 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, but not 30 years ago like the OG. So it hasn't gone through that many reformulations, if that makes sense. Because that's what's killing a lot of the fragrances, because they're always constantly getting reformulated. And 50 years later, if a fragrance is still around, it hardly smells the same. And it's also very thin and flat. It doesn't have that vibrancy of what a fragrance smells like when it first launches, you know, because things are always changing. The ingredients are changing. Ingredients are getting banned or regulated. So they're constantly reformulating. It's a constant process. So that's why a fragrance smells so different from 50 years ago to today. I've had people tell me, oh, I wish you can find me a replacement for my favorite fragrance. It smells nothing like I remember smelling. I wish I could help you, but it's never going to smell the same. And there's not going to be the same fragrance. But there could be alternatives, but it's not going to smell the same, unfortunately. So next, we've got a fragrance from the house of James Healy, or Healy. It's Note de Yuzu. So this is a salty yuzu fragrance. See, there's that salt combined with yuzu. It's interesting how perfumery works. So they combine it a lot with vetiver because there's something in the chemistry of the ingredients that connects together. And also the fact that there's a saltiness with grapefruit and yuzu. So they combine it with it. The thing is with this one also, it took me a while to appreciate it because the saltiness in this kind of gives me the idea of marine notes, almost like kelp or seaweed or something like that, algae, or even sea breeze or cologne or something. But I've grown to enjoy it. It's just kind of a salty, beachy take on yuzu. It's super fresh. I guess I could say it's kind of like Cell Marin from the house of Healy, but not quite because it's the same brand. They're definitely highlighting the yuzu here for sure. So it's a lot of yuzu with the idea of the saltiness. Let me know if you're familiar with that fragrance. Add a comment below. Let's move on to J-Scent. You guys familiar with J-Scent? They have a great yuzu fragrance, by the way. Let me know if you're familiar with it. Their green tea is really great, but I think it's roasted or toasted green tea. There's something about that fragrance that bothers me when you first spray it. Here we've got a bit of a salty take on yuzu once again. There's a bit of an aromatic greenness in this one as well. So it smells like slight bit medicinal with the aromatic touches, but I think it's the bitterness of the peel of the yuzu. What an awesome scent it is. I really love it. It's very fresh. It's very invigorating. Juicy, but not the juiciest, you know? It's quite dry. But still, the idea of the juiciness is there. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Yuzu by J-Scent. All right, next we're going to the house of Jo Malone with Grapefruit. I wore quite a bit of this. This is one of their later bottles. But as I was saying earlier, this and Hesperides Grapefruit were two of my early grapefruit fragrances that really got me to appreciate grapefruit and fragrances. And a lot of celebrities were wearing grapefruit from Jo Malone from what I had read. But also, it's quite a masculine fragrance for grapefruit. Like, it leans masculine. Something under the fragrance, there is something almost like patchouli or some woods or something, some earthiness that doesn't give the fragrance uber juiciness, if that makes sense. But I really love the dry down in this. And it's citrus, but with a substance. But still, it's a cologne, you know? It's a light fragrance. And because it had that underlying, whatever is in the base, like patchouli or some kind of earthy woods, it prolonged the life. It's very light wearing to begin with. It has great lingering power is what I should say. But it's not loud. It's not, projection and all that kind of stuff doesn't happen with this because it's fairly close to the skin. But I really loved it, and I wore so much of it for a long time. Grapefruit from Jo Malone. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Then we've got Yuzu Cologne. So this is, I think it's playing on the word of yuzu. To me, this is very, I can't remember if there's vetiver, but it reminds me that there's a lot of this kind of grassy vetiver or something like mate-like, but it doesn't smell like tea or anything. It's a lot of juicy yuzu or citruses with this very grassy, woody base. Simplistic, but very clean, light wearing, but fun and invigorating as well at the same time. Let me know if you're familiar with it. This might be on its way out, so double check, but I did see some at the discounter, so I felt like I needed to highlight it here. So next we've got a fragrance from the house of Javoy. It's 21 Conduit Street. Are you familiar with this one? This one is a very unique concoction in that it does have quite a bit of ambroxan in it. There's also a lot of aromatic notes, but a big dosage of grapefruit in here to give you that juicy, zesty experience that I really, really love in citrus fragrances. It's also super, super sexy. I love that about it, but there's the aromatic greenness, and the ambroxan is giving you that kind of muskiness. So good. So good. I love the house of Javoy. Javoy has done some great fragrances, Private Label, Incident Diplomatique, Remember Me, and of course my favorite, Psychedelique. This is definitely one of their better ones, by the way. Let me know if you're familiar with 21 Conduit Street. I believe that's the address for their Javoy Mayfair location, I think, from what I remember hearing. That's a good one. But next, this one I actually had left off, so I'm adding it to the list. This is Kajal 3. So this is also a fragrance that reminds me of Tigar or Vibrato. But for me, this is creamy. There's a creaminess here that I really like. And I remember when this first launched, a friend was wearing it in the south of France. And you can almost smell like a grapefruit creamsicle effect kind of projecting off of them. And that actually added a really super sexy layer to the fragrance. But it's a potent take on Tigar once again. But again, it's super sexy. I love it. It's not just about the grapefruit. I think there's lemon zest in this. And there is something creamy in there. I can't remember. Is it like an ice cream or something? There's something creamy in there that gives you that kind of a creaminess, especially on skin rather than on the strip. But the DNA is solid. That's why people always are inspired by it. Next, going to the house of Karl Lagerfeld. It's Bois de Yuzu. This is a cheapie. Hopefully they're still making this. I think there's vetiver in here. That's what they're referring to with the bois word. It means woods. It does have a little bit of the smell of AZZARO Sport EDT, but slight bit better. Slight. It has that, what I was trying to explain with the AZZARO Sport EDT, there is something like a base that's kind of amber woody that is familiar with a lot of designer fragrances. It's in here as well. And to me, I don't mind that DNA, but it kind of cheapens the fragrance a little bit, I think, unfortunately. But cheapens in a way that it's a bit synthetic smelling. And I mentioned that with the AZZARO Sport EDT, didn't I? Anyway, that is Bois de Yuzu from the house of Karl Lagerfeld. Karl Lagerfeld, I should say. Next, going to the house of Kale. Oh, wait, we have to switch to the next page. So we've got 2 pages left. Going to the house of Kale, it's Citrus 08. A bit unfamiliar with this one because I know the brand does a lot of gourmands and sweet candy type fragrances. So this is fairly new to me, but it has a pretty decent amount of grapefruit. I think it's pink grapefruit in this. But from what I'm gathering, it's got a lot of flowers as well. It's fresh and floral. There's a green side to it as well from what I'm picking up. Huh, okay. So this is super floral for me. Wasn't there a fragrance called Supra Floral? Who made that fragrance? But this is super floral with a lot of the juicy citruses. Are you familiar with this, guys? Kale's Citrus 08. Let me know, add a comment below. And this next fragrance is the one that I have a hard time wearing. This is Summer of 84 by Kerosene. This smells like fish on skin when I wear it, so I have a hard time with it, sadly. I'm going to smell it here on camera, but I just love the idea of it. It smells great. The grapefruit is so prominent. If it didn't go fishy marine on skin, this would be a top 10 because the grapefruit in this is so realistic, almost as good as Energizer, Tigar, and some of the other. But I'm smelling it right now. It's developing into smelling fishy, marine, and that's a complete turnoff for me. But I know it's recommended quite a bit. People comment about it and say how great it is. But there are some noses that can't tolerate that kind of sulfuric, fishy, seaweedy, algae kind of smells, and I'm one of them. And it's really strong here. On the strip, not so much, but on skin, oh man, I can't wait to wash it off. I love the brand, but sadly, Summer 84 does not work for me. So next, we've got a fragrance called Pomelo from the house of Laboratorio Olfativo. Are you familiar with this one? So this is a Jean-Claude Elena creation. We just spoke about him for Terre de Hermès. Pomelo, it's I almost feel like another thing that I notice a lot with the grapefruit notes is cannabis. I first started noticing that with Mugler Cologne Fly Away. And here, I don't think there's cannabis in the notes, but it's a bit cannabis-like. But I think there's other aromatics coming in with the Pomelo. So there's a kind of almost like eucalyptus, camphor, cannabis. Something is meshed with a lot of the skin of the grapefruit. That is what I get. That's probably one of my favorites in that collection because it has a bit of substance. It's not the super freshy, and I think it's that kind of cannabis-like greenness that I get from that. That's giving me a bit of more of a substance experience. Let me know if you're a fan of this fragrance called Pomelo from the house of Laboratorio Olfativo. Do you get the cannabis-like effect with that one? Let me know. And then we've got a fragrance from the house of Lalique called Encre Noir Sport. Encre Noir Sport is grapefruit with vetiver. You know, it's that magic combo of notes. This also reminds me of the discontinued Annick Goutal vetiver. If you were a fan of that, try this one. It's a bit salty. And the Annick Goutal vetiver was a salty vetiver. That's been done too. Sell the vetiver from the house of a different company. I believe Annick Goutal did it first. This is a bit salty, although I don't think they list the salty note. But I get a salty effect with this one. But it's so reminiscent of Annick Goutal's vetiver. Not Sell the vetiver, but Annick Goutal's. It's just called vetiver. I love that about this. In fact, if you don't like the OG Encre Noir or à la extrême, you want something fresher, a bit zestier, this is so good. Really great. Really, really great. Because the other two are quite dark. This is bright. And here we go. Another one. Vetiver and grapefruit combo. Vetiver Écarlate from the house of L'Artisan. It's been done before, but it works. It's good though. Really, really good. This actually also has tomato leaf in it also, I believe. So there's a bit of greenness, and I think the tomato leaf, the cannabis, the eucalyptus, kind of all are smell-wise somewhat connected. And it kind of like complements this combo, you know, the grapefruit and the vetiver and things like that. This is part of the L'Artisan's Le Potager collection, which was combining vegetables with, you know, regular perfume notes. But it's good. Vetiver Écarlate. Let me know if you're familiar with that. Then we've got 4 fragrances from the house of Louis Vuitton. We'll start with L'Immensité first. So L'Immensité is a lot like Tigar, but a lot juicier, whereas Tigar is quite dry to me. This one is the juicier version. You can actually layer those two together. Same perfumer, of course. Jacques Cavalier does fragrances similar to one brand and another brand. But again, they're different, but when you probably step back and smell them and connect them, they will connect for sure. But a lot more juiciness here with the L'Immensité in comparison to Tigar. But for some reason, Tigar, I think the name also has a lot to do with the fact that how popular it is. Tigar, you know, it's a cool name for a fragrance. It's very masculine, so it's got a following for sure. The next fragrance is On the Beach. On the Beach is super fresh and zesty. And once again, I think it's titled a bit wrong. But you can totally... It doesn't act beachy to me, even though they have a sand note in this fragrance. To me, it just smells like a great citrus aromatic, citrus spicy kind of fragrance. Not much beachy whatsoever. But it's good. It's grapefruit and it's super zesty. So next we've got Orage. Orage is super sexy. Orage actually reminds me of Tempo from Diptyque. It's a lot fresher though. It also reminds me of Montal's Vetiver Patchouli. Yeah, that one. But again, much fresher. If you like those two fragrances, this is, and you want something fresher, this is totally great. What I like about this one is the lingering power because it has patchouli. Patchouli and grapefruit together. Oh man, it works. It's a super sexy combo. Love it. Love, love, love it. I haven't noticed this before, but also I'm picking up a little bit of the Tigar DNA in this as well. This is the first time I'm noticing that. This can also go with Tigar. So layer the two fragrances feature grapefruit. So the grapefruit kind of combines the fragrances, and you've got the ambroxan in the Tigar and patchouli here. So it creates this kind of a very earthy, musky, woody base with a lot of the juiciness of the grapefruit. I think that's going to work great. I haven't thought about doing that. I think I'm going to do that soon. But Orage is great, guys. If you haven't tried it, please do. It's definitely one of my favorite Louis Vuitton fragrances. Then we've got Symphony. Symphony is part of the Extracts collection. You guys familiar with this one? This, in the end, I really like it, but I kind of thought about it after I picked it up. I bought that at the airport in Paris. Don't ever buy Louis Vuitton at an airport where they give you a bag and you carry it on, by the way, because they will stop you at the airport when you're in the USA and ask you how much money you spent at the airport, and they make you declare the value if you, like, let's say you didn't buy perfume, because I just bought a bottle or two of perfume, so it's less than $800. If you're buying like luxury goods and you don't declare it, and you've got a Louis Vuitton yellow bag or orange bag and you're walking through, they'll put you to the other line and they'll ask you questions, by the way. But I had only bought 2 bottles of perfume, so mine wasn't expensive. But this is a juicy, concentrated freshie with a lot of grapefruit. But I feel like it also has a lot of other citrus notes. And there's also something fresh and candied behind the scenes as well. So there's a real kind of a fun, playful side to that fragrance. It's a bit candied and it's a bit glossy also with a lot of the juicy citruses. There might even be something fruity in there. It's acting a bit fruity. But once again, it's a Jacques Cavalier creation. I feel like the formula is connected to a lot of all these citrus fragrances. Symphony does have a side that's similar to Tigar, I think, for sure. So next we're going to the house of Maison Crivelli. It's Citrus Batikanga. You familiar with this one? This is a Bertrand Duchaufour creation for Maison Crivelli. I'm highlighting it here, but it's definitely not one of my favorite fragrances from Bertrand or this house. It's grown on me more, but to me, there's a pepper note or chili note in here, which, just like the Aldebaran fragrance from Marc-Antoine Barrois, that chili pepper kind of ruins that fragrance. It doesn't do it as much here, but it kind of ruins it for me because that chili is so distinct. I don't want chili in a lot of my fragrances, unfortunately. I love to consume chilies with food, but not in my fragrances, unless it works. And I can see chili working with some things, like there was one time a Taste of Fragrance for Men by Mugler. It had a chili note. It worked in that fragrance. Here, almost doesn't work, but not as bad as Aldebaran. Aldebaran, it doesn't work. Sure, that fragrance has grown on me as well, but it bothers me. This one has grown on me where it's not bothering me, but behind the scenes, I'm thinking that chili is kind of bothering me, even though I've come to appreciate it. But it's a lot of juicy citruses. There's a lot of grapefruit here and that chili pepper. What do you guys think of Citrus Batikanga? Let me know how to comment below. Okay. Next, it's Mind Games The Forward. Are you guys fans of Mind Games? Let me know. Add a comment below. That's a pretty fun fragrance. Very powdery for a grapefruit-focused fragrance. Oh, wow. That's the first time I'm really experiencing that fragrance. I quite like it. I'm going to put it on skin. Let me know if you're a fan of The Forward. Something's very powdery, citrusy. What is that? It's like a bit of a soapiness in there. It's quite clean, slightly sweet. I kind of like that. Thoughts on The Forward? Let me know. Add a comment below. So this next one is my second bottle, and when I found out that this was discontinued, I kind of, stored my bottle away. But I see a lot of stock out there at the discounter, so now I need to pull it out and wear it. This is my second favorite Mugler cologne. This is part of that collection that they redid the cologne idea. So the Mugler cologne idea. This is Fly Away. I've turned this one on to a lot of folks. And what I like about this is the juiciness of the grapefruit with that green cannabis note. Great combo. Some of my friends really fell in love with it. And like towards the end of the 2010s and during the pandemic, they were buying up bottles because there was a lot of stock out there. But I hoarded my bottle because I knew it was discontinued. But I see that there's a lot of stock out there, so I might go back to using it. But this is a Sonia Constant fragrance. She's done Tom Ford fragrances. And of course, we spoke about her fragrance for her own house called LFSGQUESTIONS. It's so juicy. It's so pulpy juicy and very fresh, but also bitter and zesty. And you've got that cannabis note in here that sometimes it might be off-putting to some folks because cannabis can be a bit off-putting. It's a strange note, right? But it works so well here. And there's that whole idea of cannabis and grapefruit together. It's a given. They are complementing one another and create a really magical, combo and a pleasant experience for the wearer, as long as you can tolerate cannabis as a smell in fragrances. And this doesn't smell like the smoked cannabis. We're talking about the weed here, the green stuff. But that's good. That's definitely second favorite after Mugler Cologne Fly Away. And then we've got two fragrances from the house of Nishane. First of which is Ege. Ege is a ozonic fragrance, so it's watery. And this is another fragrance that bothered me at first. When I first discussed this on the channel, I was like, I didn't really like this one. The ozonic qualities acted a bit marine. But now I really, really love this fragrance. To me, it smells like a cucumber salad with some sweetness, with like aromatic mintiness. So if you are familiar with cucumbers, you've sliced them in half, the inside is that kind of pulpiness. It's watery. Love eating cucumbers, by the way. They're very thirst quenching, dehydrating, I should say. And here, the ozonic notes or violet leaves, I think is what we're working with, or it could be cucumbers. Gives you that kind of fresh, crisp airiness, wateriness. So it acts like the inside of a cucumber, the inside, the watery part, but mixed in with mint. So it's minty, it's cucumbery, it's fresh, it's ozonic, and also very citrusy with the grapefruit note. It's so fresh. Again, I don't know what I was thinking at first, but sometimes when you're, I guess you have to adjust to certain smells. Not everything is going to be a wow, right? This one was not a wow. It took me some time, and now I really appreciate it. And then, of course, we've got grapefruit in Hachivat as well. And even though we've got grapefruit here, we've got bergamot, and there's also pineapple here. There's patchouli and oak moss. Super fresh, and it's screechy, kind of metallic, woody, long-lasting. This fragrance acts a bit like juniper to me as well. That screechy metallicness is acting like juniper a little bit, by the way. But long-lasting, freshy, woody, fruity, and lots of citruses. Let me know if you're a fan of Nishane's Hachivat. So we've got a fragrance here from the house of Ormond Jane called Osmanthus. Are you familiar with Osmanthus? So even though it's Osmanthus, there's a lot of grapefruit in this. So it's super juicy. But what Osmanthus does to fragrances, it's providing a fruitiness. Most importantly, a stone fruit, apricot-like effect here. So it's like a juicy fruit bubblegum or gum or whatever. No, it's not like that, but that's what I had in mind. But you get a little bit of that freshness from the zestiness of the grapefruit. And then you're getting the fruitiness from the osmanthus. It's a flower. It is floral, but it provides this kind of apricot-like smell in there. So stone fruit effect. Sometimes the osmanthus also can go leathery. It has two sides. It has a fruity side and a leathery side. So happy and dark kind of sides. But it's very fresh, I should say. This is a fruity floral. I would say this is a fruity floral because we're working with a flower that has the fruitiness there. But very, very fresh from the zestiness of the grapefruit. Let me know if you're a fan of Osmanthus from the house of Ormond Jane. What I was doing with the list of fragrances, I made sure that it had a prominent feature of the grapefruit or yuzu or pomelo note. If it's like just a little bit and you can't notice the smell, I left the fragrances off. But next, going to the house of One Day, this is Jeju. Green and zesty. And pulpy here as well from the house of One Day. I'm surprised how good this is. I love that. This one also, the citrusy part reminds me a little bit of the juiciness of nectar. But they go in different directions. This one gets green. But all the citruses in here. This one also almost goes green. Like, I wonder if there's any tomato leaf in here. Or something cannabis-like. The grapefruit also has a little bit of that oiliness. I don't know what it is about the grapefruit's oiliness, but I almost think it's like gasoline oil kind of smell. Which kind of provides a little bit of like marijuana kind of a experience. But this is really great. I really like this house. We've actually featured them. In fact, they're in the kit right now with Taipei. Have you guys gotten your kits yet, guys? We have a really awesome kit with Taipei, a really unique, savory, gourmand fragrance. And this is another one of their great fragrances. I have the link to our kit in the info box in case you're interested. And then we've got a fragrance from the house of Orto Parisi. It's Risveglium. And even though they don't publish notes here, this is a lot of grapefruit and cannabis experience with a heavy dosage of something amber woody in the base. Oof, amber woods galore. Whoa. But this one also is quite oily. So I don't know what it is. Sometimes I wonder how this happens because the grapefruit has an oiliness. It's like magic tricks that the perfumers do. So is the cannabis-like experience brought out by the oiliness of the grapefruit note? Anyway, those of you that are perfumers maybe might know, add a comment below. But it's interesting that the combo of cannabis and grapefruit comes up quite a bit. And that's exactly what we're dealing with here with the Risveglium. But it's so heavy with the amber woods in the base, like ambroxan. If you know Megamare, you're going to know what the amber woods I'm talking about, because it smells a bit like the amber woods in Megamare. But I also really love the eye in this bottle. All right, next going to the house of Parfums d'Ucita. Oh, we're going to go to the next page. I think we're on our next page. Yes, we have one more page of fragrances left. So this video is going to be under 2 hours, obviously. So next, going to Parfums d'Ucita, it's Moonlight in Chiang Mai. So this is d'Ucita's answer to something like Baccarat Rouge, but with a heavy dosage of grapefruit. To me, it's quite zesty and citrusy, but there's some musks in here. I've asked them, I said, is there ambroxan in here? So they have some musks, but it's not ambroxan. But to me, it acts like it. But whatever it is, it's so awesome. I really, really love it, and I had forgotten about it. And I'm going to pull it out and wear it tonight after this video shoot. I've got a dinner to go to. But it smells really great. I think there's the note of teak wood in here from what I remember. But this is one of the best. And also it leans a little masculine. It's not necessarily very feminine because the brand can be a bit on the feminine side. But Moonlight in Chiang Mai is really awesome. If you like musky fragrances with citruses, maybe reminiscent of fragrances like Baccarat Rouge 540, 40 to Love from Maison Cyr, maybe Thomas Cosmala's Après l'Amour No. 4, try that. I think it should satisfy. All right, next going to the house of Parfums de Marly, it's Perseus. That came out last year. There we go with the vetiver and grapefruit again. They are such a match made in heaven combo. Such a match made in heaven combo. Very much. This, I think, acts a bit dry, not super juicy, but it's a really pleasant fragrance. I mean, nothing groundbreaking or anything, but it's totally wearable. It's one of those fragrances that you can use as a signature scent. I don't have a signature scent. I like to wear a lot of different fragrances. But those of you that don't have a lot of fragrances and you want something pleasant, woody, and fresh, I think that is a great fragrance for that kind of an experience. But I should say it's not a wow fragrance. It's a pleasant, great smelling fragrance, but not being a wow fragrance, if that makes sense, guys. Yeah, it's not a wow fragrance, but really pleasant smelling. All right, next, going to the house of Parfums de Nicolai, or Nicolai Perfumer Creator. It's Eau de Yuzu. You guys familiar with this one? Eau de Yuzu came out about 5 years ago. It's fresh, zesty for sure, or zingy. And it's slightly bitter, a bit green, a lightly salty, and somewhat fizzy as well. This is acting a bit like 7-Up. I like that about it. This is really good. I actually reviewed this fragrance when it first came out. I have a full review of it on the channel. But I think that's a great freshie. It's super light though. I wouldn't call this a substantial fragrance. I don't think it's going to have great longevity. But if you can deal with like 4 to 5 hours pushing it with that many hours, then I think you should try this one. It's a very pleasant smelling fragrance. Eau de Yuzu from the house of Parfums and Nicolai. Let me know if you're a fan of that house. And if you are, what are your favorite fragrances from the house of Parfums and Nicolai? Please put a comment down so I can find out. All right, next up, going to the house of PENHALIGON'S. Yes, we've got a fragrance from the house of PENHALIGON'S. This is Opus 1870. So I was putting my notes down together for this video, and I didn't realize this was a grapefruit-focused fragrance. I guess it is. But this is not a citrus-dominant fragrance. There's some interesting things happening in this. I feel like there's a slight smokiness. There's a bit of rosiness, but it's all covered up with this freshness. And you've got these woods in the base as well. I think it's a pleasant fragrance from the house of PENHALIGON'S, and I'm surprised it's still selling because that company or brand discontinues so much fragrances. It's not a joke. They're constantly launching something new and something discontinues. But surprising that this is still around. I think the other thing with this one is there's a lot of pepper. I think that's what's giving me a smoky incensey vibe. But this one definitely has some pepper from what I remember when I reviewed this like 7-8 years ago. Opus 1870. You guys familiar with that? I think it leans masculine, but there are no rules. Wear what you want when you want. It's really pleasant. But once again, I feel like it's one of those kind of fragrances that is not a super wow, but really nice, pleasant smelling, you know? All right, this next one I'm not too familiar with. This is Père Noir's Anello. You guys familiar with Père Noir? This brand is sold at ZGO Perfumery now, by the way, here in San Francisco. So if you were in the market to sample the fragrances of Père Noir, go there and tell them Sebastian sent you. So this is, once again, there's something in here that gives me an ice cold screechiness, almost like this. Almost like Hachivat. But it also has a fruity side as well, which Hachivat has, but with the pineapples. But this Anello, I feel like has berries instead of pineapple. So I'm just learning this one. It has some intensity. Is this an extrait de parfum? It's got some beefiness to it. But, you know, there's a lot of freshness in here with something like grapefruit. So I think the whole entire structure of the fragrance, or the combination of the notes, is giving me this very screechy vibe. Screechy, metallic, ice cold. That's the kind of fragrance you should wear in the summertime. If you can tolerate these super long, like this smells like really intense. If you can tolerate intense fragrances, I think metallic, ice cold, sharp fragrances are perfect in the summer when it's hot out. But sometimes people don't want intense, super intense fragrances in the summertime. But I like fragrances to last, obviously, so I would wear that one. All right, next up, going to the house of Perroy. It's Tangerine Pearl. And even though it's called Tangerine Pearl, it's got a lot of grapefruit in it. Are you guys familiar with Perroy? They're not that expensive, the fragrances of Perroy. They're also a bit fun and playful. They're also created by the same folks behind the fragrances of Les Eaux Primordiales. This one's fun and not fruity, but citrus fruity for sure. But under there's an underlying creaminess, kind of like super soothing creaminess, but very vibrant, giving me a little bit of like a creamsicle vibe, but not necessarily a sweet citrus, more like a bitter citrus creamsicle vibe. Yeah, it's fun. Very fun. Tangerine Pearl. But my favorite from that house still is Mahogany Sun. All right, where are we at? We've got still a little bit more than half the last page to go. We're going to the house of Ralph Lauren. Lauren. Is it Lauren? Ralph Lauren. Polo Cologne Intense. So, this is nothing like the OG Polo Green from the late 70s, created by Carlos Benayem. Although this is created by Carlos Benayem and also another perfumer at IFF. But it's a brand new fragrance with a lot of grapefruit. And that's what I like about this fragrance. It's the freshness, and the grapefruit is very, very pulpy. Really pulpy. You really kind of smell that texture in this. There's a pulpy, juicy kind of pulp in there. But there's aromatics thrown in, so it's acting a bit herbal. And I believe there's vetiver in here as well, so it's a bit woody, slightly spicy. But it's a nice designer grapefruit. And it doesn't have that crazy amber woody mass market smell that I told you was present in the AZZARO Sport EDT in the Bois de Yuzu. It doesn't. For me, if I was only in the designer world of grapefruit, and we're skipping out Zara because Zara's Vetiver Pamplemousse is also really, really great, I would go with that Ralph Lauren. What I really like about that it is realistic, not super tart, not super bitter, just a nice, well-rounded, sweet, tart, bitter combo, pulpy grapefruit. Really great. They did a great job on that. And I think I was criticizing the fragrance that when I did my review, I felt like it's Polo Cologne. People are going to think it smells like the OG, but it didn't smell like the OG. So it was a brand new fragrance. But anyway, that was at that time. I consider it pretty pleasant, a great designer offering. Okay, next going to the house of Room 1015. It's Sweet Leaf. Here we go with the grapefruit and cannabis once again. It happens. We've got a lot of green bottles back to back next. Well, we've got one that's not green, and then we've got a bunch more green. But Sweet Leaf, I think it's a solid offering with cannabis. They did a great job with this. I think this is created by Serge de Oliveira. I think that's the perfumer. I could be wrong. But you've got that camphor greenness. It's not the smoked cannabis, by the way. It's just the leaves. This also has grapefruit, and also I think there's rhubarb in here. So I think that's how you get pulpiness. If you ever cut up or sliced up rhubarb, there's that kind of gelatinous kind of pulpy experience, or not experience, but texture in there. So you get that here. But this is a lot of grapefruit, a little bit of rhubarb, and a lot of cannabis as well. So super fresh, green, a bit menthol, kind of camphor. So I think cannabis is not a... I'd like to take inventory and find out how many of you enjoy cannabis and fragrances. Let me know if you enjoy cannabis. Put down a comment that says, yes, I enjoy cannabis, or no, I don't enjoy cannabis. And if you do write down, yes, I do enjoy cannabis, please write down some of your favorite cannabis fragrances. I just feel like it's an acquired taste. It's not a mass appealing kind of a fragrance. It's a weird scent, I think. So it would fall into the weird category of fragrances. But I think that's a nicely done cannabis-focused fragrance. It's Sweet Leaf. But for me, if you want an easygoing cannabis citrus, this is so good. It is simplistic because these are simplistic fragrances, but it's so good. Really, really good. Really good. The juiciness of the grapefruit is so realistic in that. I can't believe how good it is. Okay, so I thought I had all green, but we had 2 green bottles. We have non-green, and then we have 2 more green bottles. But this next fragrance is from the house of Sarah Baker. It's a Atlant. And this is a marine fragrance with a lot of grapefruit. So this one might be a bit challenging to some folks. I know it was challenging to me. I'm slowly embracing it though. It's not that challenging. And some people kind of question with a comment, why would that even bother you? I mean, it's a nose, right? Certain things bother certain noses, and I'm not bothered by too much, but one of my least favorite notes is fishy marine fragrances or cologne or something like that. That just bothered me. If you've ever been to some places that have this weird sulfuric smell, it reminds me, it's almost like rotten eggs. It gives me that kind of an idea, so it's a turnoff. And I got that with a lot of marine fragrances. This doesn't bother me as much as it used to when I first met, and it's what happens. My nose adjusts to it, and I get to it. This is very salty, though. It's a marine seaweedy. I think it's ambergris, though. I think this is ambergris. So ambergris, sometimes if it's used a lot, it overwhelms you. Here, I just picked up a whiff of that, the ambergris, but it quickly went away. So it's blended in a way that it kind of stands out, but it kind of comes back. But I feel like the grapefruit in this is giving it a lot of freshness. So it's hiding it a little bit, but it does have a marine experience. I mean, in the end, it's called Atlant. What is that referring to? The Atlantic Ocean. So it's going to be fishy, right? So it's a nice combo of marine freshness with a lot of zesty grapefruit. And then there's ambergris. So it does come off a bit. What is ambergris? It's a regurgitation. So it's a bit poopy. So if you like a fishy poopiness, try that. All right, next, going to the house of Sospiro. We've got 2 fragrances back to back. First of which I'm not too familiar with. It's Basso. Basso, I think people say reminds them of Terre de Hermès. Let's see if that's correct. Yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's also a little bit of Isola Blue from Raja. But what was I saying earlier about Terre de Hermès? They use grapefruit, right? But this is like a substantial version of Terre de Hermès, like beefy. A lot of grapefruit. There's citruses here, woods and vetiver, and aromatics along the way as well. I mean, it's good, but for me, my favorite of the 2 that I'm going to talk to you about is Vibrato. I absolutely love Vibrato because I love Tigar. And I love Kajal 3. It's that DNA that is very, very addicting. This is also really, really good, guys. Basso. Like, when I was testing out Terre de Hermès just a little while ago, this is the Eau de Toilette, right? Yeah, it does say Eau de Toilette on the side here. I felt like it wasn't substantial, but the DNA is there. It's a great DNA created by Jean-Claude Helena. Here, it's a really beefy kind of take on something Terre de Hermès, but Terre de Hermès is also a bit more simplistic. This is a lot more complex. It's good, though. All right, next, we've got a Vibrato. What an awesome scent it is. Let me know if you're a fan of Vibrato. Vibrato or Vibrato. Let me know if you're a fan. Do you enjoy it or do you hate it? Do you like Tigar more? Do you prefer Vibrato more? Do you not care? Do you layer the 2 together? Let me know. But so good. Super, super sexy. Very zesty, fresh, zingy, bitter, citrusy, juicy, but once again, on the dry side, not really like super juicy, but juicier than Tigar, I think. Then remember also I mentioned the Kajal 3 is also creamier. There's something creamy in there and it pops through, which makes it a little cozy. This one's super dry, but still really, really awesome scent. I really love Sospiro's Vibrato. And I hope you guys do as well. I still think my favorite is Dolce Melodia from the house. But the Vibrato is like a top 5 for sure. All right, we've got... Gotta pause the video because I forgot to bring a fragrance. And I have the fragrance. So we're going to the house of Strangers Perfumery. It's Yuzu Soda. So I've featured this in the citrus video. It's quite fizzy. It's quite effervescent. And I think the idea is great. I wish there was a soda like this I could drink because it sounds so delicious. A Yuzu Soda. I think I can make something, get some yuzu oil or some kind of a grapefruit oil and mix them with like effervescent water or something. But it's super zesty and juicy and slightly bitter like all grapefruit and yuzu kind of fruits are. And it's a lot of aldehydes in here, I think, is what's giving us that effervescence. There's an underlying deepness in here. There are other notes under there. I think there's some woods, like some stronger, deeper, denser woods in the dry down. But when you first spray it, you really notice that kind of bubbliness, the sparkling effervescence there from that kind of aldehydic note or whatever they have in there with the yuzu. So I feel like citruses can be effervescent, but when you add that aldehydes note in there or some kind of aldehydes, that does tickle your nose, like how when you open up a bottle or a can of soda, it does have that kind of tendency to tickle your nose because it's got those bubbles in there. But that's a great one. I'm happy to have that one. I bought that at Lucky Scent several years ago, and I've recommended it quite a bit. Let me know if you're a fan of it. Yuzu Soda from Strangers. Honestly, I got to figure out why sometimes my camera focuses and sometimes it doesn't. It's an Apple iPhone Pro Max 16, so it's the latest, but I don't know why. Okay, a few more fragrances left. We are going to the house of Thomas Cosmola next. We have number 4, Neon. You guys familiar with this one? So some of you mentioned you wanted me to get this one. I did. I haven't really dug into it. There's a lot of deals on Thomas Cosmola fragrances out there, guys. And the best place to get them at are places like Joma Shop. And I have a complaint about Joma Shop lately, which once I finally receive fragrances that are purchased 2 months ago, I will do a video and complain about them. But this one came right away. I'm not sure about this fragrance, number 4, Neon. It's giving me the somewhat of a vibe of this. There's a lot of like this amber woods that's like present in a lot of like designer fragrances. This is giving me that kind of a vibe. It is quite citrusy and juicy. It's also a bit screechy metallic. It's fresh for sure, but in a deeper way. It's quite dense. I do enjoy the bottle. Love the yellow on top, the cap. So this is... I'm trying to figure out if it's an eau de parfum, but I believe this is a parfum concentration. It doesn't really say. On top it says parfum for sure. It's okay. Not my all-time favorite, but this next one's even better. Really, really great. Number 8, Tonic Vert from the house of Thomas Cosmola. Are you a fan of this one? If you like citrus fragrances that lean green, this is the one for you. And it smells so good. So, so good. Really, really love that. This is giving me a soda vibe once again. It's quite effervescent, but super green. It's like at one time, I remember when I had 7-Up, it really tasted lemony and limey. Lately, it's gone a bit flat in the taste. I don't know what they do with the taste, but that's been a long time ago. But sometimes now I do, squeeze some lemon in it. It wakes up the flavor a little bit. This is giving me that kind of a vibe. But it's super, super zesty. Bitter, green, and also, zingy, zesty with the grapefruit note. But there's a lot of juicy citruses in this. It's super fresh. There's also the idea of the DNA of like Après l'Amour #4 in here. So it has this kind of a strong woody, ambery base, but not smelling like this. This one, I'm not sure about that one, which reminded me of the Bois de Yuzu from Karl Lagerfeld and the AZZARO Sport EDT. Next, we've got a cheapie, 1920 The Origin in EDT from the house of Tos. You guys familiar with this? This is a pulpy grapefruit, but also at one time you can get like this bottle or this fragrance for like $30 online. And once again, I feel like in the base, there's a lot of vetiver here. It's like a magic combo, you know? Vetiver and grapefruit. They are a match made in heaven. It smells good though. I mean, it's simplistic. It's easy to wear. It's a cheapie, but it's pleasant. It's one of those fragrances that it's an everyday signature fragrance. You wear it in and day out because it smells pleasant. It's got a crowd-pleasing quality about it. And you smell fresh and clean because it is very, very fresh and clean and crisp. So that is 1920 The Origin in Eau de Toilette. As you can see on the bottom, I think if it focused, you could see it better. But that's from the house of Tos. Or is it Taos? Tos. Next, we've got a fragrance from the house of Voyager called Capiora. You guys familiar with this brand? It's a Thai brand. So this is a citrus-focused grapefruit fragrance. Or is it yuzu? I can't remember which note it was. But one of these citrus notes. So it's very juicy, citrusy, but slightly bitter and zingy as well. But there's a lot going on in here. This is a fairly new fragrance, so I'm not too familiar with it. This is a lot deeper than a freshie. There's some stuff going on in here. Like there's some woods. There's some spices. It's almost feeling like there's a soapiness in there, something clean. Mossy maybe a bit too. Let me know if you're familiar with Capiora. That's from a house called Voyager. All right, 2 more fragrances. Zara's Vetiver Pamplemousse is a really, really great one. I actually had bought these during the pandemic from Zara, ordered. It came in a pack, not the bottle by itself. It came with a travel bottle as well for the same price of the one bottle. So I've used up that one, gone, and then I've used up this much since then. It's a fragrance that's, you don't have to be like easy on the trigger. You can just spray away because it's fresh, clean, not super long lasting, but a great combination of juicy, zingy, bitter citruses of the grapefruit, and the woodiness, the earthiness, the aromatic, grassy touches of the vetiver. A great combo. I think this is a great combo of notes. The grapefruit and the vetiver just complement one another, and it makes for a very pleasant wearing experience. Sure, it leans a bit masculine because it's woody, grassy, but unisex enough. Created by Joe Malone for Zara. That is Vetiver Pamplemousse from the house of Zara. And the last fragrance I'm going to talk to you about is a great fragrance from the house of Zoologist Perfumes. It's Macaque Yuzu Edition. It's a really good one, guys. I don't know the OG Macaque, but this version smells super awesome. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the fragrance Wheel from the house of AESOP, or the Monocle series fragrances from the house of Comme des Garçons. They have a, what is the ingredient? There's an ingredient that I'm drawing a blank with. So it's kind of like a cypress. Hinoki is what I'm trying to think of. So this is kind of like one of those fragrances freshened up with the zesty touches, the salty touches of the yuzu. And I remember when I went to Kyoto, those things up there on top of that hill, they were all over the place. They're fun little monkeys, the macaque. But this is like one of those fragrances. If you are a fan of Huile or Hinoki by Comme des Garçons or Huile by AESOP, and you like the idea of a freshness, the zestiness of the Yuzu note, try that. This is Macaque Yuzu Edition. And that is the last fragrance, guys. And I know I told you I'm going to give you my top 10. And we're going to give you my top 10. I'm going to give you my number 1, Energizer. It's a no-brainer. Energizer is a no-brainer. It's so good. I have to have it here. Number 2, I think Vibrato. It's a no-brainer. Gotta have Vibrato as my number 2. Number 3, Tigar. These are all smelling similar, right? Number 4, Kajal 3. It's getting a bit crowded here. So, Energizer, Vibrato, Tigar. Actually, what I should say is Kajal 3 is number 3. Tigar number 4. Where are we? Poem de Sagano number 5. Hell yes, that's an awesome scent. Awesome, awesome scent. Oh, where are we? Nectar number 6. Sorry guys, it's a bit messy here, so I'm gonna have to move things around so I can make room for the movements. 7, Grapefruit Generation. Yeah, that's a good one. Love it. Love, love, love it. All right, where are we? I would say Orage by Louis Vuitton, number 8. Where are we? I really love Pomelo Riviera from Atelier Cologne, but let's hold off on that. I'm gonna be gotta put Atelier Cologne Fly Away at number 9. It's so good. I absolutely love it. And then I would say Moonlight in Chiang Mai at number 10. And I'm going to give you 2 more. Jeju, number 11. Resvelium, number 12. So that's how I would rank the list now. This is how I'm feeling now. But all these fragrances are great. Most of these fragrances are great, I should say. This is how I'm feeling now. But honestly, the top 5 is the top 5. I mean, Energizer is such an amazing scent, guys. So realistic. if I haven't mentioned it enough, if you're looking for that realistic grapefruit smell, you've got to get this. You've got to get this. It's a no-brainer for that realistic grapefruit smell. And so Spiro just takes vibrato to the next level. Yes, I've got vibrato here. I've also got Kajal 3 here. It's that DNA that I'm addicted to. It's so awesome. But then you've got this stuff at number 5, Poem de Sagano. Like mojito come to life with grapefruit juice. So super delicious. If you noticed, I didn't feature these 2, my OG grapefruit fragrances from 15, 20 years ago in the list. I've kind of gotten tired of those, obviously. And I also didn't feature Terre de Hermès. It's a no-brainer. I enjoy Terre de Hermès. I really love it, but I'm not going to feature it in the list. But I appreciate you guys tuning in today to watch the Grapefruit, Yuzu, and Pomelo list. Do let me know what are your favorite Grapefruit, Yuzu, and Pomelo fragrances. Do add a comment below. I'd like to find out if I've missed something. I went through the list so many times, all the databases. And by the way, I use Wiki Parfum, Parfumeur, base notes, and also Fragrantica. And I make sure that all these databases are featuring these notes before I can talk about them. And then if I'm familiar with a fragrance, I'll make sure to feature it. But sometimes some databases have incorrect information. So that's why I have to rely on 4. And then, of course, if it's kind of not sounding like it's correct, then I go to the the brand's website to make sure. And sometimes some brands' websites don't even mention notes breakdowns, so you're just left to be, you know, figuring out a fragrance on your own. But I made sure these are correct, and for sure these all feature either grapefruit, yuzu, and pomelo, or a combo of all those notes, because sometimes you also see the yuzu and grapefruit together. Or sometimes it's just yuzu or grapefruit with other citruses. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you guys are enjoying these deep dive videos. What do you guys want to see next? I'm going to give you guys orange next. This is going to be the end of summer. And then by the following week, I'll start working on autumn appropriate fragrances. But I'm kind of on a roll to compile videos and shoot them and bank them. So when I'm out of the country for 2 months, I can air videos for you guys. But let me know what you want to see as far as lists go. You can tell me perfumer names that you want to see spoken about. You can tell me designers or brands you want me to speak about in a video. You can talk about genres. You can talk about notes breakdowns. You can maybe do other themes. Anything is possible. So do let me know. Add a comment below. And I'd like to, compile those videos, shoot those videos, and get them live. But again, thanks so much for watching today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please click the subscribe button and also the bell icon so you'll be notified for future videos. If you haven't liked the video yet, please do like this video so it'll help with the algorithm. And don't forget, there's a playlist of all these deep dive videos, so you can just put it on and just watch back to back to back to back, hours and hours of content. And so it'll be in the background, or you can just sit down and watch on TV or on the computer or phone. And lastly, before I forget, don't forget to take advantage of our latest Scent Club kit, guys. It does feature Taipei from One Day, but there's a few other great fragrances in that kit as well. And I don't want you guys to miss out. Thanks so much for tuning in again. As I said, have a good one. Bye-bye.